Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related and especially advanced battlefield command and tactics, and that is what we are going to do in this episode. We are going to show more of our amazing Imperial Sergeant Crossbow against mixed armies. We will try, I think Britannia makes sense. We will do an overhead RTS mode kill box with this group. And then maybe we'll even do a village defense. I've got a couple in mind. We'll start off though with a mixed army of Empire, and we're outnumbered by about 25-30% here, quite significantly. And they have all the tier 5 units as well as the tier 6 Imperial Elite Cataphract. Now we got a nice beautiful field here to fight on, plenty of visuals. And you're going to have this same overhead view when we fight the actual battle. What I'm going to do is engage the RTS mod and essentially show you a systematic destruction of this Imperial force from above. Right now, of course, for most people, it's much easier to command from this kind of a perspective. For me, it's actually harder in some ways because I can't see all the angles that my archers are shooting at and stuff like that. But we will take advantage and fly down to the battlefield sometimes. But I'm going to try to show you this in the easiest way possible. I will slow it down using the slow motion, etc., so that you guys get a really clear idea of how destructive not only a kill box is, but of course a kill box with these Imperial Elite Sergeant Crossbow. Now we are running 6 divisions, right? I understand that overwhelms some players. Understand the 1st and the 2nd are purely defensive, and the 4th, 5th, and 6th, I beg your pardon, it's 5 divisions. The 4th, 5th, and 6th are your killers, right? These are the guys that are going to be doing the damage, and the 1st and the 2nd are kind of bait. Now this left side or right side, I want you to pay special attention to. You see this angle of the hill, it slopes towards us. The enemy archers will not be able to shoot our guys there, so that is a beautiful position for our 6th Corps. That way, as the enemy sort of comes down the chute, not only do these archers pound the enemy, but they can do so with relative safety. The only thing they'll probably have to deal with is a cavalry charge. We will talk about that, as well as horse archers. Now, horse archers are coming. Oh shit, I've got the RTS speed on. We have to slow that down. That might cost us some kills there because their horse archers are going to get the jump on our 4th division. But we're going to move all our divisions up here, right? The 4th on the left, the 5th in the center, and the 6th on that right slope I talked about. Now, if horse archers are approaching your troops, tell them to stop immediately because they will be shot to pieces while they move. It's better that they stand still and every single one of those guys at least fire some bolts into the enemy to counter those horse archers. Fortunately, crossbow mangle horse archers, as you can see from the death spam. Now the 1st and the 2nd division, they're offset, and the 2nd and the 5th division down there are also going to be offset. That's because those units need to be distance away from each other. On the 6th, see these cavalry coming in. What we're going to do is basically tell these guys to stand still, right? I'm going to say stop. That way, as they get charged by cavalry here, nobody tries to do anything. Nobody tries to move. Nobody tries to attack the cavalry. They keep shooting. Now the guys getting mauled and knocked around will pull out their little pull out their little mace, but none of those guys are leaving their position. That's vital. So their infantry's coming in the center, right? We're going to start kiting back. So we're just going to move these 2 divisions back, and we're going to move them opposite of each other. The 2nd over here on the left, and the 5th over here on the right. We just want those divisions to have some distance. That way their main infantry division has to decide between those 2 of those divisions. The 4th over here, I'd like to straighten out, but now there's cav charging them, so it's better for them just to stand still. And that is F2, F6. Now notice their infantry went right by our 1st. We'll just spread those guys out then. That's fine. They want to ignore those guys. Instantly, those guys spread out, and now they can start shooting the enemy in the back. Now the enemy almost always is going to beeline the closest division. Here we're just going to put that 2nd division in a square and pull it away from the enemy. The reason we're pulling it away All the death sounds. The reason we're pulling it away from the enemy is that we want to be able to shoot the enemy in the back. Of course, anybody else that they directly attack, you just simply pull back. This second, as soon as they ignore them, spread them out again, right? It's basically instant offense. Now, they're probably going to attack one of these divisions, and for the sake of brevity, I'm going to square one of these divisions. We'll just square this second division here towards the back wall, but I'm going to pull it down here towards the fifth. That way, these guys can point blank shoot the enemy in the side, right? You see the shooting at close range here, and they're just pelting the enemy with bolts. The Manavletons are getting blown up, and these guys, you know, they're going to get hammered on. But they do a pretty good job defending themselves. They whip out their little mace and they don't get killed, right? They're not getting laid out left and right. Meanwhile, our crossbow bolts down here are ripping them up. This division appears completely unmolested, right? These guys are having a field day, and because that earlier thing I told you about the slope, the enemy archers aren't really even messing with them. Down here, of course, I'm just telling them to charge. That way they get a little closer. And now, this second division, we can just have it keep moving away from the enemy. They are completely in the maelstrom. They're being shot from 3 different angles, including from behind. So you see the death spam as these hapless Imperials chase our square. They're just simply cut to ribbons and their whole force routed. This was such a complete destruction that I can't help but laugh. I'm trying to be professional here and be somber and whatever, serious and shit, but first it's a game, but second, that was so fucking beautiful of destruction there. Just the whole enemy force. These guys aren't charging, they're running because they just saw their whole army get completely immolated. And this was being outnumbered, right? Almost 30%, right? It's a complete destruction, almost a 5-to-1 KDR. And again, hopefully that overhead perspective gives you guys all the tools you need to commit this in your own game. For some people, it is harder to do in first person, but if you can get the RTS mod in practice, that'll help. Now, I want to do, I think it's called Popsia. Let's see here. Here we go. So Popsia is a good village for defense, and let's crank the hell out of the difficulty here, right? They've got a mixed army again. They've got some archers, plenty of tier 5 infantry, and let's give them just a ridiculous amount of troops, right? Just crank it way up. Maybe that's too many. Nah, you guys want to see difficulty, right? We'll just rip it. So 660 foes against our 450, and we're going to try to defend this village. Now, I know this village well. You kind of fire down into a funneled enemy, and we're going to use a lot of divisions in this battle. It's downhill. There's all these houses to funnel the enemy. It's an optimal setup to destroy your foe. This village, I believe, is near Chanopsis Castle, near Emitatis, near Saneopa on the battlefield, on the campaign map. If I see this village and a large army is chasing after me, I will go here and just be like, yeah, come and attack me anytime you want. These villagers and I are friends. I buy them all beers after we destroy you guys. We use your money, of course, and we all live happily ever after. All right, so we're going to make let's make 4 square divisions. I know that seems strange, but the first, second, third, and fourth are all smaller divisions of crossbow, and that's because I'm going to square them. The first, right here in the front, and wide formation is actually too wide. You want them in line formation. These guys are shooting downhill. They have theater seating, so to speak, and so most of those guys can shoot. That's vital. We can put these guys even a little offset. The third division, I want these guys to have line of sight, so I think we'll just put them in a line here behind the first. Right? These guys are going to get attacked, and there's going to be casualties. We're outnumbered like 50% here, but I think that's a good position for them. Now, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, as you've seen me do over and over again, are killing divisions. Now, a couple things, and I'll show you up close, but the 4th, 5th, and 6th are just kind of in a big glob together. We will have those guys on hold fire and stand still, because again, I don't want them running around. The 7th is right here. That's also going to be a square division. It's actually 7 divisions we're running because the 8th is his little cavalry. So no 8th division, but 4 square divisions and 3 killing divisions. And the 7th is over there because I think there will be a cav charge around both sides here. We're probably going to get sort of inundated by enemy cavalry. So speaking of cavalry, right, we are not going to shoot at the beginning with these 3 divisions. And what's nice is you can do this before the battle starts, right? There's this nice calm before the storm. So I'm going to tell these guys individually, stop, F1, F6, and then 4th, 5th, and 6th, hold fire. Right now, it's important to know that as a commander, those guys will stand there like dipshits until you tell them to fire. I'm doing that because I don't want all of our units to run out of ammo early on. This rates to be a long battle. I mean, we've got a lot of enemies to dispose of here. So these guys, of course, can fire away right away. That's because they're going to be squaring. They're going to be fighting in melee. They're going to be getting mobbed by the enemy melee. Now, this cavalry, here's a good point. I'm not about to square our guys yet, right? Those guys can defend themselves. You see them pull their mace out, and the enemy is like, oh shit, these guys, these fish have teeth, right? They fled immediately. So we want these divisions shooting as much as they can early on here because they're going to be squaring. They're not going to be shooting much later, right? So it's critical that 1st through 3rd division and then the 7th shoot. Now we're going to open up fire here on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Enough time has sort of passed, and the enemy's closer, meaning they're going to start doing real damage with their bows. Now I've got a couple spots I can stick these squares, right? I can tuck it against a building there. My preference is actually to tuck it on the other side here, put it kind of behind that shed. That way they have protection by the shed, and also they won't be shot by enemy archers. Now, okay, we got a huge cavzer. Again, all our units are standing still, so it's messy. The 7th is getting attacked by infantry, right? So we're going to square those guys as well and pull them away from the enemy. It's getting a little bit messy. This is where it's critical not to panic as a commander, right? We're just going to pull this 7th division and pull it away from us. What's nice is all of these guys up here, even though they're being banged around by cavalry, they are firing down into the ranks here and doing major damage. Now, there's a big flush of red. They just trampled the 3rd division. Those guys are all dead. That's okay, though, right? We're just going to roll with it. All these archers, all these crossbow up here are just firing down into the battle. And point-blank range like this 4th, 5th, and 6th division are doing major damage. Now, the 7th division over here, we can tell these guys to charge, right? These guys right here, we might as well just get them in the battle and have them join the fracas. But the rest of the guys, just let them do their thing, right? The enemy's coming up. We'll do a little bit of killing ourselves here. And essentially, any archer that gets attacked, any crossbowman, they immediately become a solid infantryman. And I think this is already the enemy infantry saying, we've had enough. They bit off more than they could chew. Our guys are pursuing them. Now we've got to work on this cavalry here and then figure out the next threat. It'll eventually be their archers down the hill. But that was it for their vanguard, right? Their cavalry's sprinting off the battlefield. This battle might be over already. What do they got? They got 100 archers? I think this battle's over. How come the power bar is close? What else do they have here? They must have some other threat on the field. What am I missing here? I mean, they have some cavalry. Oh, 112 horse archers they got. I got it. All right. So we'll move this division up here in a shield wall. That'll absorb some of the enemy arrows, right? You got these fuckers down here shooting at us. But we've got to shoot these horse archers down, right? There's some behind us. There's some kind of skirmishing all over the place. The good news is, what did I mention before, right? Your crossbow guys destroy horse archers. Probably the only horse archer that can match up against these guys is the Khan's Guard, and we will definitely give the Khan's Guard an attempt later in this episode. All right, so scorching the horse archers here. I mean, they're being scorched. You could tell from the death spam. Now, our units are low on ammo, but here's a critical point. The only reason they're still shooting is that we were judicious with our ammo earlier, right? That earlier where the 4th, 5th, and 6th was holding ammo, I even mentioned it. I said this might be a long battle. Here's where it's paying off. Now, this battle is over, but the enemy archers are kind of being stubborn, so we will charge downfield. If you wanted to hurry this up, too, you could just charge and say, hold fire. Every single guy here would pull out their shield. Here, we can just charge. A handful of guys will come down in melee, and the rest will shoot and sort of work their way down the hill. Do a little work here. I can sort of help my guys. If you're on a horse in this situation, of course, you want to be careful you don't get killed, but understand this battle is already over. The enemy's getting a few kills here, but these are Pyrrhic kills, right? The enemy's fucking dead. They're paying for every one of these kills. And of course, you notice what kind of troops are left, right? It's Sergeant Crossbow. So it's Sergeant Crossbow and Sergeant Crossbow. The difference is that we probably have 150 men coming down the hill, and maybe they have 50. And that's it. Our guys come roaring down the hill. It's a beautiful sight, all holding up their little shield, and victory is ours. Let's check the butcher's bill here. All right, so 183 survived. That's amazing, right? We basically have about 40% of our troops left, despite the fact that we were outnumbered by about 200 and something. Yeah, these are destructive units. And let's emphasize how critical tactics are here. It's not just that these units are powerful. Let's let the AI bumble through 30 seconds or 60 seconds here of the exact same battle. They're very enthusiastic, right? Their commander says our charge. I guess that's his plan, charge. We got an F1, F3 commander here. So he says charge, and look at how jumbled up these guys are. Absolutely no formations whatsoever. We're just going to observe here. In fact, I'll just get off my horse and do a little observation. Half those guys can't shoot because there's some dude in front of them. Smells like onions. They're getting some death spam because they are shooting downhill at least. But look at that big infantry glob. Let's zoom in here. Let's do the RTS mod. They can't duke it out against 300 infantry, right? The enemy here is like 8 man deep. This battle is over, right? This infantry is just gonna chew these guys up, and this battle is already over. I have no idea why the AI just charges. It might be that it doesn't know what to do with an army that's all archers. But whatever the case, this gives you an idea. While the Sergeant Crossbow is strong, you must commit to tactics, right? This is this is an embarrassing disgrace. After we just won this battle with 40% of our troops left, the sergeant here gets destroyed. I mean, he would be recalled by the emperor or the king, or recalled in disgrace, as they would say in the olden days. All right, just a disaster. Didn't even get a 1-to-2 kill ratio. Lost almost 2 guys for every guy they killed, and defeat in big old letters. All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and do a Battanian challenge, and then maybe Khazate. Mixed army here. And apologies for that. I had to change a little bit of sound. And now Battania. Now Battania, of course, they're going to have a mixed army here. It's going to be lots of archers, lots of skirmishers, shock troops. They've got some cav. They've got it all. But we're going to use the little peekaboo ridge here. Reverse slope defense, of course, is devastating, but especially so when you can put a line essentially of your crossbow towards the front in a square. They act very effectively like defensive infantry. So again, by now you should be familiar with it, right? The 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2nd Division playing a secondary defensive role. I like to have 2 potential divisions that can play defense in a situation like this. I understand that these tactics are a little bit strange to people used to running a complete army. What I would say, if you want to have a normal army, is run a cav division and then have the 1st and 2nd Division be infantry instead of crossbow. Right, have 3 crossbow division and or archer divisions, and then the 1st and 2nd, you can see how badly outnumbered we are. The 1st and 2nd would be some level of infantry that can play defensively and or charge when you need them to. Now, I'm vectoring the enemy here, and that is because I need them to come over the hill that I'm planning to defend at the right angle. Right, I'm pulling them down into the valley because we're going to defend up there. I know that's also a strange concept for some players, but I'm basically manipulating where the enemy comes to. A good computer or a good human player might not approach from this direction. They might try to go around or send some troops around. Alas, until we get amazing 500 on 500 PvP battles, right? We are facing an AI, and this is what you want to do if you want to beat AI consistently. All right, so I'm going to spread out 3 defensive divisions. Or killing divisions is a better word for them, towards the back of this bowl. And I'll give you some better looks of this bowl. The 2nd Division kind of up top here. And then this 1st Division, we're getting kind of chased down here. Let's see if this is a problem. I think our guys can get away. They're being actively chased, throwing shit at us. This 1st Division towards the front, because again, we're going to be squaring these guys. We're going to be playing defense with them. Yeah, here come the throwing axes and javelins are flinging. It's all right. They can have their projectile weapons because we're about to get ours on here. we've got a little return projectile present for you motherfuckers. Now they're bringing cav down here in the south. I think we're going to be able to shred their cavalry. Right? These guys are going to throw javelins, but they're also penned up on the rocks there. Those guys are going to get scorched. Now, for now, I'm just going to kite with these archers, these crossbow, because there's no real infantry pouring over the ridge, right? Oh, now they are. Let's move the second up here above the infantry. It's a quasi-kill box, and then we can square this first division and basically just drag it around, right? I want these guys getting all the attention, exactly like what's happening. Thousands of axes and throwing axes are flying through the air, but so are the bolts, right? There's just an incredible amount of bolts flying through the air, and the enemy archers can't really shoot because they're coming over that ridge and getting sprayed with bolts. This is actually worse than I thought it was going to be. I mean, Botania has really good units, and they are getting shredded here. It's a mauling. Now, it's not over yet. They still have lots of Fiend champs, and they're starting to shoot. We might even get in there and do a little work ourselves. Our second division can be put basically right into the face of the enemy because I want to interrupt all their archers. Right? What I'm going to do with these archers is essentially give them a big old square, a bunch of guys with shields running right up into their face. And what that does, of course, is it makes those archers pull out their weapon. And they're like, oh shit, I'm being attacked. That's much better than them shooting our crossbow. You can see a lot of their guys can't shoot. That is one of the advantages of the reverse slope decline defense. And they continue to get strafed as our last handful of bolts gets expended here. Let's see if me getting killed costs us the battle here. We could take a few pot shots with a crossbow. I'm not real comfortable as a crossbowman, but I think we can make this work still. It's a very tight battle, but I think they just routed. I would rout too. So these proud Fiend champs, we're all gonna die. You can hear them yelling because the battle's over, right? These guys are now blown off the field. Another beat down here by our Imperial Sergeant crossbow, and the enemy flees. I mean, that is a strong army, but again, with that reverse slope decline, the enemy just melts in this situation. All right, so I guess what would be the hardest thing for us to try here, right? You can see a huge amount of survivors. Let's try all cons guards. Fuck it. Let's just do the hardest challenge possible. All right, we'll change all these configurations so that it's only cons guards. We'll get rid of all the other Khazate units, strictly cons guards. Right now, we'll do a little bit more than our Sergeant crossbow. So it's a tier 6 against our tier 5, right? We're going to have to get creative here. I think the biggest concern I have is ammunition depletion, right? We're facing archers that have like 50 or 60 arrows. We're seriously out of ammunition. This is like the Marines at Iwo Jima. We've got to make every bullet count here. Now, I'm looking at my area I'm going to defend. I'm probably going to defend in the valley there. Where I'm at right now is not tenable. There's no defensive structures around here. I need some mountainous ridges to get to. So I'm going to start our units way over here on the left, and then we will use the RTS mode to sort of sprint to a better location. I'll talk about that as we move to it, but the principal idea here is the same thing as a reverse slope decline. I want there to be an edge, a ridge, in other words, a sharp, steep hill where the enemy has to come over it to shoot at us. And when they do, as soon as they do, there's a locked and loaded crossbow bolt right between the eyes. All right, so we've got plenty of time. They're 500 and something units away. We've got a beautiful sunrise or sunset or whatever it is here to make our stand. These 450 guys, God, the lighting in this game really is glorious. And I think this ridge is going to have to work. It's not great for sure because there's two different areas in this ridge that look vulnerable. Man, that down there in the back looks really bad, but we will try to figure it out. This is a puzzle. I'm a tactician. I love a good puzzle here. I love a good challenge. That's why we're trying these obscene challenges. Cons guards are difficult no matter what, but to fight them with a limited amount of ammo, very, very difficult. I think what we'll try is a very thin line of troops at the far end down here, right? Just basically guarding that back door because we know they're going to circle us. It's not a question of if, it's when. It's how soon they're going to circle us. I'm going to put three or four divisions just kind of spread out here in the lower part of the valley here. That way, just like the last battle, they can shoot as soon as the enemy comes over this ridge. It all depends on what angle they come over to. This may not work very well if they come over at a bad angle. So let's move those guys just a little bit more. And again, we really got to hold fire here. We can't fire 900 arrows at 6 horses, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to individually micromanage our units for ammo. A couple at a time. Basically, the more cons guards appear on the ridge, the more I'm going to have these guys shoot, right? I can basically say, okay, there's not that many. Let's have the other guys hold fire. And then if that gets a little thicker in there, we can add the 4th division to it and say, okay, yeah, nice and thick in there. Perfect. There's like 20 or 30 guys in there. Let's add another division. The bolts start flying. Pretty good death spam so far, but again, you know, we're ammunition is a big deal in this battle. Definitely going to run out of ammo. And of course, you run out of ammo against horse archers, you really do just dig yourself a grave. There's no answer. Especially cons guards. It's not like their arrows are weak. I think they have 260 bow skill. These are incredibly powerful units. Most people agree that the Fiend Champ and the cons guard are overpowered units. Still, so far, at least early on here, because of our reverse slope decline defense, we are shredding them. I think if we tried to fight them in the open, it would be seriously red death spam. What I mean by the open is no tactical, no terrain advantages. So they're going to start circling us here. That's why I'm trying to cut them off. I'm trying to get units essentially positioned so that as soon as they come around this ridge, they're met with the hail of darts. And it's sort of working, but the lack of kills is concerning to me. I think because our units are firing at such a long distance. You can see the distance between our units and their horse archers is a long ways away. You can get a little bit creative here and divide that unit and then send a shield wall towards the enemy. Hopefully those guys absorb some of the arrows. I needed them to sort of commit, right? The longer the cons guard sort of circle us and slowly try to win a war of attrition, the more certain loss, defeat. We're just not going to be able to win a long battle here. And of course, we can't set the initiative here. We don't get to any control over the flow of this battle because they have all the speed. Try to cut them off at this other ridge here. Now, we can charge and shield wall. Maybe we can get some of them bound up at some point or other and charge and shield wall. They're starting to get aggressive. But man, it looks rough. All right, this top ridge here, let's try to cut them off here. I mean, we're still scoring some kills, but it's not nearly the rate we need it to. I'm not going to be able to do much either. This guy's kind of a hapless character. I'm going to just get up here and basically try to initiate some of these guys to swing their pole arm, try to attack me. There we go. We got a nice flush of green. These guys are standing still. They stand still long enough just to mow me down. All right. It's pretty simple strategy from here, right? Shoot bolts and charge with divisions that are out of ammo. I got 8 bolts. I can fire a few. That's a nice hail there, right? We got some of their units tied up in the top of that ridge. Maybe we can pull this out. Very temporarily, we're getting a big surge of green as they get stuck on each other. Fuck, that's bad, them coming around that far left side. Of course, I have no units set there to cut them off. I don't shoot crossbows very well either. We're in trouble. And look at our ammo. We've got like 3 divisions with a little tiny bit of ammo left, and the rest are out of ammo. So, let's see here. Let's see. I'm cramping my brain here to figure out something. We can make sort of a ring of shield walls around us here. We can form a square in the center, and then hopefully we can get some of their Khans Guards to charge us. Our last handful of bolts are being shot right now. You can sort of, it's almost like the end of a snowstorm where the trickling snowflakes kind of, the last few are trickling down. And now our guys are reduced to charging guys on horses in a shield wall. I mean, we might as well siege the fucking surface of the sun here. This battle is over. As loud and as excited as our troops sound here, this battle is over. I have no way of catching these horse archers. So, all right, so let's see. Now we simulate what happened to the Russians and all the other kingdoms that fought the Mongols with infantry. We're gonna get torn apart here in the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes, because we have virtually no counter. I got 4 bolts and 0 health. They're circling around to our weak open side here, and our death is imminent. If you had a white flag, you'd be raising it right here, begging for a parley, begging to be taken prisoner. We killed one for the road there, but we're dead. Look at how badly our troops are getting torched. Might as well put them in a square. That way the death ends sooner. All right. Well, so you can't defeat Khans Guards with nothing but crossbow. We gave it a valiant try there. We tried some different things, but we finally did find a weakness for this unit. Still, I think these 2 episodes, the previous episode and this episode, show how amazingly versatile and powerful these units are in Bannerlord. Hopefully you enjoyed that, friends. Of course, if you want to see more from the channel, you want to hit that subscribe button. Please leave any comments you'd like. Hit that like button on the way out. I appreciate you, fellas. And I will see you guys next time.